I am Jaspreet Boparai. I'm a wife, dairy farming wife, and a mother of 2 young children, and we're based in Western Southland. My kids are 6 and 8, and I find myself here because, just like you, Penny, many of us have felt for the last quite some time that things are not quite right. But parental rights is something that I feel very strongly about, and I suspect so do you.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a tough one because there's a lot to unpack. So what we're going to try and do is really simplify it down. Parents who are starting to look at this gender situation at school as just one of the many topics are finding that it's hard to get in the door and have the conversation with schools. You know, we thought that schools were there to work alongside the community and to ensure that the parents are informed about things. For me, in my own situation, and what I'm hearing is it's shifted quite drastically over the last 3 years. There seems to be a growing divide between school leaders, principals and teachers, and us as parents. And so instead of just kind of throwing our hands up in horror and thinking, well, there's nothing we can do about it, I think it's really important to try and go back and see how this has happened. So what we're going to do today is look at, we're going to go a bit further than just the Ministry of Education relationship and sexuality guidelines and actually look at where we can see the trail of where this has come to as to why we've ended up in this position where we don't seem to have a say and we seem to be being shut down and gaslit. So shall we start with the goalkeepers speech that Jacinda did back in, I think it was 2019.
So the goalkeepers, where Jacinda spoke at this 2019, is a forum hosted by the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates, where nations come and our leaders go and proclaim how well we are doing at achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These are the 17 SDGs that we, along with, nearly a couple of hundred other countries, signed up to, saying that we are going to use these as a blueprint for our countries from that point on. And Jacinda speaks in this about how she's doing something that no other country has done before. We are changing New Zealand legislation for the United Nations SDGs into our very fabric. And it has never failed to stun me, this bit of speech, to hear from our elected representative that the United Nations, an unelected, unappointed, unwanted organization, is actually setting the tone for our country.
Turning things around requires changing both the way we think and the way we act and the way we measure success. So to tackle these issues in New Zealand, the government I'm proud to lead is doing something not many other countries have tried. We've incorporated the principles of the 2030 Agenda into our domestic policy making in a way that we hope will drive system-level actions. This is not just a new scorecard. It is about fundamentally changing how we make decisions and therefore how we allocate resources. For instance, when deciding where to spend public money and manage our national assets, we've decided it's no longer enough to ask what will drive economic growth. Now the question that we as politicians are asking is, what will do the most to improve both the lives of New Zealanders now, but also...
So who are the UN if they're unelected, unappointed, and our leaders that we did elect chose to work with them or to do as they say? Who are they?
I mean, if I was very flippant, I would just call them busybodies. But we know things are far more serious. So the UN came up after the Second World War. This was, an offshoot from the League of Nations that came about as countries vowed that the world would never see the carnage again that the Second World War had, brought forth. But over time, it has morphed into something far more insidious. It's effectively, if you look at it today, it's an NGO. It's a non-governmental globalist organization halfway across the world. If you look at it from, New Zealand, a tiny island in the Pacific, but they seem to be setting tones for all our leaders. About the second year into the pandemic, 2021, the United Nations and the World Economic Forum together signed an agreement to advance the Agenda 2030, how the tone for the next century is going to be set forth.